On a very, very consequential Friday evening. As we go into the weekend, there have been many, many developments, some of which I would admittedly say are somewhat confusing in the war against the Islamic Republic of Iran, or the military action, or whatever we want to call it. This has so many dimensions to it. It's very hard to give you an organized, logical breakdown of all the different things you need to know as you go into the weekend, which is coming up soon. We have 2 more days as we get there, but it comes up really quickly, and we don't have time to communicate with you as much. But let's try the best. Let's try the best we can to do this. First thing let's cover is the fact that we were very fortunate in our offensive efforts to be able to hit the exact place where the Council of Experts were counting the votes for the new Supreme Leader. So those were all blown into eternity, and we don't know who the Supreme Leader is going to be. This is as accurate as you can trust these people, but the person leading at the time was one of the surviving sons of the present Shah, or was the present Shah as of 2 days ago, Khomeini. This is Mojtaba Khomeini. Now, here's the difference, very important to understand, I think. And if you would give me a board as we go through this, Ted, I'm going to try to, once and for all, after 14 years, kind of maybe not straighten it out for you, but straighten it out for me. But he is right now, if alive, apparently the choice of the Council of Elders to be the supreme leader of Iran. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know how solid that is. There are others who are far more experienced than he is, far more prepared than he is. And there is, of course, a backstory, which I'm sorry we cannot corroborate, that his father didn't want him to be the Ayatollah, didn't think he was ready to be the Ayatollah. Now, that may not be true. It may be true. And, really, if I screw up the succession of Ayatollahs, like I really give a shit, sorry for the dirty words, but we are talking about a dirty religion. So here's where we stand right now without any contradiction so far. The Council of Elders, who were interrupted abruptly in the middle of their selection by a very strategic bombing by us on them, were not able to complete their choice. It appeared as if their choice was going to be Mojtaba Khomeini. Now, we have 2 Khomeini families. They are different. Here is one. Khomeini. Khomeini. This is very important. The second one on down here is the original Ayatollah who came back from France and hijacked the so-called liberal democratic Republican revolution that would have established a democratic government, possibly a constitutional monarchy, possibly not. And that was the second one on the list, Khomeini. Now, one of his grandchildren, one of that Khomeini guy, who is considered the more legitimately religious, if not more insane, of the two, is hanging around. Now, he wants to be supreme leader. The guy who's been pushing the hardest, and I don't know, I don't look at the odds on these different idiots who do this, but is this Khomeini. Now, Khomeini is the son of the recently murdered Ayatollah. Khomeini, not Khomeini. The difference is between an A and an O, okay? A and O, okay? That's the difference. So he is the one that is allegedly the one selected by the Council of Elders before they were rudely interrupted by a bomb or a series of bombs and or drones intended to disrupt everything they were doing. How far they have gotten in selecting one of these religious maniacs to run the country, I don't know. The little bit of intelligence we have says they have gone pretty far in moving toward the son of the present ruler, Khomeini, as the Ayatollah. That the son or relative of the former Ayatollah, Khomeini, is just too far out of the process. Although considered to be more religiously pure. I have no idea what that means when they say, if you were talking about the Christian religion or the Jewish religion or even the Buddhist religion, I could tell you what I think that means. I don't know what it means in this. Please grant me my right of free speech without getting terribly angry at me, which some of you will. I don't consider this a religion. I never did. I haven't considered the Muslim religion a religion since I was about 14 years old. I've read the Quran then to the extent a 14-year-old could understand it with the help of a Christian brother. And I was in a state of shock at the number of murders, the pedophilia, the complete sexual debauchery, the promise of sexual debauchery in heaven. A young 11 or 12 years old kid in Garden City reading that came to the conclusion this was a con operation. And Muhammad was a con man. Now, does that make me a person who's expressing his honest opinion, which he's willing to defend anywhere in the world? Or am I some kind of a, I don't know, what kind of bigot would I be? But this is not based on my experience. This is based on scholarship. But okay. Right now, as far as we can tell, Mojtaba Khomeini, 56 years old, is the new Ayatollah of Iran, the new supreme leader, which means he can do anything and everything. The supreme leader overwhelms any power or any function in the constitution of the phony state of Iran, which has been phony from the day it was established. Now, the president has said, with regard to who would he accept as a leader of the Iranian people, now that he has asserted a great deal of control over them, and it is going to be hard for them to move forward without his at least being able to say yes. He says he would be satisfied with any leader from within. In doing that, he rejected probably one of the most catastrophic possibilities of all. The former Shah's ne'er-do-well, completely unaccomplished, jet-set playboy son. Now, why do I say that? I say it because as I look at the man's background and resume, as I have searched very carefully, this is a product of the absolutely insipid, totally dangerous establishment and the bad establishment, the one that has an odor of rich people. Look at how Fox News today did a thing where they said, we presented 3 people to the Iranians for choice, or 3 movements, or 3, I don't know what they presented. And he was by far the biggest choice, even though the president doesn't like him. Well, they left out the single biggest choice, the one that has for 47 years pervaded as an antithesis to the Ayatollah, the NCRI or the MEK, either way you want to describe it. They were left out, and Madame Rajavi, who is their provisional leader, was left out of the equation. So we have no idea what kind of support that she has, as judged by all of these so-called impartial experts for Fox. I will tell you that from the time I have dealt with Fox for some time ago, there was a time in which Fox was a network of great integrity. That has ended now. It's a network which practices its same corporate censorship as all of the other networks practice, to the detriment of free speech in America. And the people who work there, who make millions and millions and millions of dollars, have to sell a piece of their soul to go along with it. For me, not worth it. Some of them I like, some of them I know for years. Some there were times in which I loved them. I'm very worried about them. This is very condescending and I worry about their souls. I worry about their souls because I know how they have sold out. And if you want me ever, maybe someday I'll write a book on how they all sold out. But in any event, right now we have a specific problem to solve. And I can see it in a minute. They're promoting the Shah. Half of them don't know why. The other half do. But it's completely corrupt, and it's coming from the Murdoch and the corporate group. Because they want to make a lot of money with the Shah. And the Shah is likely to make a lot of money with them because the Shah's family was known for several big things. For 50 years, they were known for brutality, massive corruption, and complete extinction of any Democrat values, with an obeisance to the West, making it appear as if women were going to have rights in society because it was a way to flatter them and to get their attention off the other things in which they would deny you human rights. Was the Ayatollah worse than the Shah? Yes. But was the Shah something that we should now, after all this struggle, all this death, all this destruction, is this what they were fighting for? A Shah with a savak and a prison and torture? Oh my goodness, of course not. We can do much better than that. If we don't let the power of money through the Murdochs and others interfere in this. So please try to stick with us so we can give you some pretty clear information about who the possibilities are and what is happening and how it is happening. So let's take a short break. And when we do, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the most recent development, maybe not the most recent we picked up 20 minutes ago. This is a moving field really quick. And that is the entry of the Kurds into the battle on the side of freedom, which is a very well received entry. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. And we are back. We're back. Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. I don't know how many of you appreciate the full background of what we're living through right now. This war, dispute, whatever we call it, right, which might very well determine the future of Western civilization, which has been in jeopardy several times before, is much bigger than everything else that we're focusing on. Because here's what's at stake over a 30 to 50 year period. Are we going to be able to pass on what was given to us by our fathers, our mothers, our priests, our rabbis, our ministers, our teachers, and our own brain from reading the vast scholarship of the greatest civilization in the history of the world? Now, I don't say that. Gosh, it's hard to do. I don't say that to demean any other civilization. Now, how do I say the next and convince them? I say that because it's true. And if you would spend time with me in the scholarly debates and discussions we used to have time for, which this is taken away from us, I can show you how it historically fits. The concepts and ideas, which are indeed beyond complete human understanding, are beyond the ability of these little machines to get them, even the IA ones. You know what's wrong with artificial intelligence? There's a lot right with it, by the way. I love artificial intelligence. Ted knows we very often check out the 4 or 5 most important stories with 3 or 4 of the wacko, crazy, and possibly even destructive AI accounts. But all we're asking them for is, what do you list as the 5 greatest stories? Now, I know their biases, so I can factor that in. And if I go to 10, I can sometimes pick up some really good stuff. But I know I am acutely aware of what I'm being handled, what I'm being given. So I'm not talking about how this endeavor into I'm going to try a quick way to get, because I want to get my main point. IA will give you information. It will give you information based on the information you gave them. IA is not capable of wisdom in no respect at all. The rational solution to a problem is an effective, possibly, solution to a problem. It is not necessarily the wise solution to the problem. And you and I are going to spend a lot of time on that. Because if you want to move forward and be in control of what they're going to try to do to you, this is the single most important thing you have to understand. IA cannot give you wisdom. It can give you information. Information is volatile. It can be accurate. It can be inaccurate. It can be lying. It can be truthful. It can be truthful and then change. Wisdom is completely different. much more complex, requiring much more discipline, and believe it or not, decency and character. But that's for a later date, which, if you stay with me, we're going to get to that. But right now we're working on what's coming up with this war, right? So, right at this particular point, what we have to determine is, how much further do we go in moving out and helping the people of Iran to establish a, let's call it a decent government? The president has been extremely careful not to get too far out. So if we describe honestly what he has said, right, Ted? Right. We would have to say he has said, we are not interested in creating a democracy. We're not interested in creating a religious democracy. We're not interested in creating a non-religious democracy. We're not interested in creating an oligarchy or anything else you want to call it. We're interested in creating what the people of Iran want. Okay. That's a good, very, very laudable goal, which does distinguish us from the nation building, where the theory was not a theory to be just thrown aside as if it had no merit, because it did. Not saying it was the right one. There's a difference between those two. But the theory had great deal of merit to it. The theory was, and this was the theory that pervaded maybe even the end of the Clinton into the Bush administration. I'll make it real simple for you. If all the nations in the world were democracies governed by the majority, democracies with a footnote, republics, governed by majorities, constrained by the rights of minorities, so they can't trash them, and their systems of government, whether they be like us or some other country, emerged from that, it would be a world without war. Because countries like that are attuned by the values of their propositions to seek a logical solution to a problem. And a logical solution to a problem never embraces warfare. On a intellectual and on a moral level, that is unassailable, great logic and great thought. On the present condition of the human being in the world, it's a long, faraway goal. You can have it, but don't think you're going to accomplish it. Have it somewhere in the future so you can make adjustments for it. But don't think you're going to get there now unless you get a miracle. So where does that leave us as we try to take the Bush doctrines? I'm talking about Bush 2, which was that they were wonderful doctrines from a beautiful man who was a very, very honest and decent man, who who believed in the depth of his heart that if all countries were democracies, where they were elected by the people with guarantees for the rights of the minorities, there would be no war, because there'd be no reason for war. Since these governments were based on rational principles, which that is, by the way, then disputes can be decided by rational principles. Whether that's the future of the world and that's our goal, I don't know how far away from that we are. But we make terrible mistakes if we think we're there now, because there's a larger number of people in the world who oppose that than accept it. Should you give it up as a goal? Of course not. Should you see it as a rational principle of analysis, as we did to our detriment? Of course not. So we have to go back from that goal. And what we have to say is, how can we put as many of these nations together without having war with each other? What things are they going to agree on that become the fulcrum on which, when you want to avoid a war, that's what you go to? So we're getting there. Please don't lose. I know it's confusing, but we're getting there. What the Bush administration did in Venezuela, which I originally had, I must tell you, my usual, I don't know what you would call me. I'm not a neocon. I was never a con, so I'm not neo. I am a over the top, completely committed opponent of communism and of Islam as interpreted by those who read it literally from the Quran, and aware of the fact that the book is extraordinarily dangerous. So that's who I am. So what can we realistically accomplish out of all of this? And are we going to do it? First of all, I think we are. Because the president, whether he incorporates all of this or not, operates on it. It's almost as if he has an antenna that shows him how to balance all of these things. And after some trial and error and disputes, and it kind of comes out the right way. So what's going to be the resolution in Iran now? Resolution in Iran is going to be that the regime will fall. It may fall now, it may fall in 6 months. Does it have 9 months? Maybe not. Maybe not. It will fall. And it will be replaced by a form of a representative government, that beautiful combination that we have of democracy and republic. I do believe it will be without a scion of the crooked, brutal, homicidal, thieving Pahlavi family. We don't need that. Whether it has a monarch or not, I don't think so. I don't think you go through all this torture and torment to go from dictator to monarch. You might as well get yourself into the modern world and go from dictator to democracy as a Republican form of government. That's where they're going. How is it going to be structured? How is it going to be put together? Oh, that's the beauty of watching what's going to happen over the next year or so. But I am pretty certain that that's where, when it all shakes out and they all stop fighting and they all stop worrying about, this is where the strength of this country is going to be, and it's a strong country. Will it be an ally of the United States? You are damn right it will be. It would have been even before Trump. Trump played this brilliantly to create an ally for the United States. It may have been without this, but his deference in using the most extensive amount of military power, his warnings, his activities that were done to minimize the loss of human life for innocent people, I don't know if they've ever been done before that way. And I know they're being appreciated by the Iranian people on both sides. This will be a very, very big positive for us. How long is this all going to take? Well, you can be surprised when I tell you this, 3 or 4 weeks. Not going to happen slowly. Trump doesn't allow anything to happen slowly. In fact, there's a risk he'll blow it up in 3 or 4 weeks because he wants it to happen quickly. But I think the elements are all there. So you're not going to blow it up. Now, the War Powers Resolution, I don't even know why I'm spending time on this. I have an audience that's too intelligent for this. The War Powers Resolution, which the Democrats are trying to say the president violated the Constitution, violated the law, violated the War Powers Act. Well, first of all, he complied literally with the War Powers Act. Here's what the War Powers Act says. Except that the American president can take military action, it has to notify the Congress 60 hours before. He did. And then it is on a basis in which it has to brief Congress on what it was about within several days, I think, too. They did that. And then it has 40 days to act. And if it wants to continue to act, it has to go back to Congress and ask for additional approval or seek other methods of approval. Well, I don't know. We're 38 days from that. And we're already saying this is an elongated war. We have is it possible I can get you to look in my eyes right now and say to you that one of the biggest problems in reconstituting our government as the great country that it was are the lying Democrats? Or would you think I'm just being a Republican shill? I'm not. I'm not a Republican shill. To me, the Republican Party is only a little better than the Democratic Party because it has a little better history than the Democratic Party. If the Democratic Party put out better things for my country, I'd be a Democrat. God didn't make me a Republican or a Democrat. My rationality did. And if it changes, I will change. For the Democratic Party has gone to the point of being more evil than it was during the time of slavery. I'm not going to spend time on it. I'm just going to tell you that as a warning. And when you want to consult that, we'll spend time on that, and I'll prove that to you. So let's try very, very hard to evaluate what's going on now with neutral principles, good principles, because it's so important that we get this right. If we get this right, our world is going to be, wow, it'll be fabulous. So do we need a break, Ted?
No, we're okay.
We're okay. We're good. Okay. So Khomeini's son has been selected to run this organized crime group. I have no idea what or who he is. I do know his father didn't want him to do it. He had another son of mine, but this guy got in there, and boy, that sounds like a couple of books of the Bible or even of the Quran. So the U.S. is not going to be involved, Marco has said, and the president has said, in nation building. And I don't agree with that, but I understand it. This is a I don't know if I should say this. This comes about because of a deep ignorance of history. There's no nation in the history of the world that has done a better job of nation building on a scale of fairness and decency and equal rights than America. This isn't Great Britain. We weren't seeking colonies. If we want to do nation building or have an influence over the development of the government of Iran so that it is a decent government that operates in the best interest of the people of Iran, we've got three examples that no country has. Germany, Italy, and Japan. At the conclusion of the worst war in the history of the world, we transformed those three countries within 4 to 5 years into functioning, humane, decent, lawful democracies with a Republican form of government with guarantees for the rights of the minority. And we turned them into long-time friends of the United States, which even with what is going on now, seems to be holding out better than some of our more ancient and historically filled relationships. Italy in Europe is our strongest ally, not our longest ally, France. Wow. Or Great Britain. Our greatest ally and getting greater in China or in Asia is Japan. Gee, we were at war with them. And then General MacArthur came along. And Germany, with all the problems in Germany, The Chancellor of Germany came to the president today with a much more reasonable proposition than the Prime Minister of England, who is getting really worried that he's gonna have to run for, chief caliph in 3 years. So let's not run away from nation building because we can't do it and because it's difficult. Oh, of course, it's always difficult. But we have done it better than any other nation on the history of the planet. Maybe the Romans. Maybe. Not with all the moral values that we instill, by the way. So please keep these things in mind. They're all some of these are very subtle and they seem to be very, very big concepts. They're not. They're quite basic. So the 6 service members who died, I want to take a few minutes to pray for them. I think it's still 6. Of course, we don't know. We're not on the front lines, and we don't know what happened in the last hour or two.
Yeah, we have 6.
And this is a situation in which you can lose some. As I'm speaking to you, 6 can become 7, or the casualties can go up. But as of right now, 6 beautiful Americans have given their lives to this cause,
Right.
which I would describe it as a cause that should have been addressed much earlier, which is stopping the persecution, which is worldwide, that is inflicted on the world by the Ayatollah and this sick application of the Muslim religion. So
The military has identified 4 of the
4 of the
fallen
6.
soldiers.
Is it still only 4 of the 6, Ted? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So we have Captain. I have some. You have
Looks
Captain
like Cody
Cody. That's
Cork.
Captain Cody Cork. He's been in the service for 15 years, and he is from Winter Haven, Florida, and had enlisted in the National Guard in 2009 as a fire direction specialist.
So he's been there for some time.
Right.
So he's a real veteran.
15 years, and he looks young for 15 years service. Also, we have Sergeant First Class Noah. I apologize. I definitely don't want to get these names wrong. Noah Tegens. Noah is 42 and a resident of Bellevue, Nebraska, outside of Omaha. He enlisted in the Army Reserves in 2006 as a mechanic and has previous deployments in Kuwait in 2009 and 2019, earning decorations that include an Iraq campaign medal with campaign star and an overseas service ribbon.
And here we have a female.
Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore. Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore had been on a Mideast deployment before. She's from White Bear Lake, Minnesota, and joined the National Guard in 2005. She transferred to the Army Reserve in 2006, and she deployed to Kuwait in 2019. And the 4th of the 6 that we have identified is Specialist Declan J. Cody. Up on the screen here. And Sergeant Cody, unfortunately, his parents got the notification while at home on Sunday night in Iowa. His father, Andrew Cody, had spoken to Declan, Sergeant Cody, a day earlier. And he was assuring his parents that he was safe. Unfortunately, Sunday night, the Cody family got the notification.
Of course, we don't know how the families are doing, do we? We have no real information on that, do we?
We do not. So those are the 4. We have Sergeant, we have Specialist Declan Cody, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amour, Sergeant First Class Noah Tegens,
So as you can see, these men and
and
women
Captain Cody Cork.
had a lot of life ahead of them. Huh? I don't know if they have children already, but they may very well have had children. They may very well have contributed greatly to the future growth and prosperity and security of the United States of America. But in one afternoon, one very brief encounter, their lives were taken in an effort to try to bring peace and stability to the world. So we honor them because we're not sure whether we could do what they do. And if you think you are, you're too arrogant. So, dear God, they've been with you for some time now. I don't know what time is like in the next life. It's probably very different than the constraints that we have on it here. So maybe they've been with you for a very long time. Give them the honor and the glory and the grace that they deserve for what they've done for us. And so that we can pray to them for help. Because we need a lot of help, dear God. We understand this pretty well, but I'm not sure we understand it completely. We may need your help. So we're going to conclude our hour tonight, so that you can go over to Dr. Maria on tonight. You can go over to Dr. Maria, right, and continue listening to these words of wisdom. If there's anything that comes up after, we'll come back. We've been covering this. Ted and I alone have been covering this 24 hours, even without the network and the station. So
Maybe we can, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, along with the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Dan Raisin Kane.
Yeah.
Gave us
we
an update.
love that name.
We love that name. We they made some comments today. Maybe we can play a little bit from the secretary to close out. This reminds me of what we saw during Desert Storm while I was a baby.
Yep. No, I think
got the
it was
regular
good because
updates.
Pete did a good job of summing up what we've done and what lies ahead. So why don't we do that?
We'll play a little bit from Secretary Hegseth to close out the show. We just got to bring up the right cut here. So just take about a minute here. We'll get a little bit of this. This is Secretary Pete Hegseth. And we're going to get nothing here. This right here is
the soldiers who we lost, just so we say their names again, so they never lost, are Captain Cody A. Cork of Winter Haven, Florida. Sergeant First Class Noah I. Tyrians from Bellevue, Nebraska. Sergeant First Class Nicole M. Amon of White Bear Lake, Minnesota. Sergeant Declan J. Cody, only 20 years old, of West Des Moines, Iowa. At least 18 service members also have been seriously wounded as a result of the war with Iran. 2 more have been killed. As of now, or as of a few hours ago. This is war. military conflict over some of the highest stakes both countries have in mind. It is tragic in the development of this world that we are at war with this country. It shouldn't be. This was a country of great culture, of great wisdom, country in the 8th century was captured by the successors to Muhammad, and they were destroyed. There's Zoroastrians who had their own method of religion were eliminated, and they developed a whole practice out of this about their ability to communicate with God, and building on Muhammad's already having traveled up to heaven to see God from the Temple Mount, in which he evaluated all of our prophets and our Lord and Savior Jesus, who was demeaned to the point of a minor prophet, and that led to that wasn't the motive force for the murders and the wipeouts and the killings. It was the teaching of the Quran and the Hadith to destroy Jews and Christians that led to centuries and centuries of tremendous warfare. And even today, when you say, let's take it down and let's write that out the way we've written things out of the Bible, you don't get much of a response, if any. That's very discouraging when you see these countries that are going to be taken over by this form of ideology. This isn't religion. A laid out logical basis for killing a human being is not religion. It's something else. So, Ted, anything else that we need to cover that you can think of?
We're just following the news here.
Anything new that's come up?
Just following ongoing operations in and around Iran, and we will keep folks up to date on all that. Of course, your good friend Lou Holtz passed away today.
Pardon?
Lou Holtz.
Oh my goodness!
Maybe you wanna
Yes,
say
thank
something
you
about
for
Lou?
mentioning that.
We definitely
Lou Holtz was a good friend of mine. I did put out a tweet immediately upon seeing it. I have wonderful memories of Lou. Loved the man. Took me to Augusta twice, where he would bring out a book. I have a copy of the book here, or a copy of a version of the book here, which maybe I'll bring out tomorrow. Where he takes out some of the holes at Augusta and shows you how they were built. He was a truly dedicated member of Augusta who carried on its tradition and its history brilliantly. He was, of course, an inspired coach, one of the greatest in college history for the University of Notre Dame and elsewhere. I often talk to him about his strategies for new teams, for Notre Dame, for other things, as ways of gathering information about political leadership, because the man was an exceptional leader. He was a great, what we call X's and O's guy. Yep. Knew the fundamentals of offense and defense, could put together offensive plays and defensive plays that would knock your socks off. But his greatest strength was his motivational ability, his ability to reach his players, his ability to understand his players, his ability to both make the relationship between coach and player much more complex and much easier as well. So I'll tell you my experiences with him playing golf at Augusta remain in my memory forever. I don't forget. I don't think a single minute of it. I will be more than happy to tell them to you when we have them on the show as a guest, or with my son Andrew, with whom we played our second round there, and some beautiful things happened as a result of that. Even greater than the golf itself. And of course, I've been a lifelong Notre Dame fan, even before Lou. You will wonder, why am I a lifelong Notre Dame fan, having gone to St. Anne's Grammar School, St. Francis of Assisi Grammar School, Bishop Laughlin Memorial High School, run by the Christian Brothers, and Manhattan College, run by the Christian Brothers. Now, very Catholic, but ain't much to do with Notre Dame. I came to love Notre Dame through football, and it became a religious experience for me as much as the others. And I love Notre Dame. I root for them almost with the same intensity I do the Yankees and the Giants. Hard to repeat that, but I do. And probably it all goes back to my nun in the 5th grade, who would have been very angry at me if I came in on a Monday morning. I didn't know the score of the Notre Dame USC game and a fair analysis of how it came out that way. Who threw the final pass? Was it an interception? That sort of thing. So it's a dear part of my history and background. And when I look at Lou's picture, there's both a happiness and a sadness that's going to haunt me all night. What a great man. I wish you had gotten to know him.
Yeah, I would have loved that.
I wish you had gotten to know him. If you did, you would have been a better person for it. Well, pray for the repose of the soul of this great man, so that he can live in heaven with his family and his wife who predeceased him, and his team. Oh, they may not want to see him again, but they will.
Right.
You know, Ted, that picture looks like he's in heaven.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
The colors.
I'm expecting him when I get up there and I go looking for him. That's exactly what he's going to look like. I'm going to say, Coach, we're going to still get to play at Augusta like we did every year. He's going to say, Mayor, I don't have that kind of juice here.
He probably does. Being the coach of Notre Dame, winning a national title for Jesus.
Well, that's true.
He's got a special.
Oh my goodness, Ted, that is absolutely true. He won the national title for Jesus. Is he the last one to have done it?
Notre Dame, yes. Yeah. They've been close. We've watched a few close ones, but not been back.
Well, I don't know. I just have this, Jesus took on being a man, right?
Yeah.
If Jesus took on being a man, he's a football fan.
Right.
So he probably likes the coach a lot.
You would think so, right?
God the Father might be a little more critical, want a few more things out of him, But I think
touchdown Jesus.
I think the God who became man would be pretty satisfied with the accomplishment of touchdown Jesus.
Right. Coach Holtz, and of course, I didn't get to know him, but I worked a little bit with him in large settings in the 2020 campaign. Right?
Oh, you do.
I
Great
actually-
supporter, by the
Right.
way.
I wrote for him. He didn't know it, but I wrote an op-ed that we put his
I-
name on.
I became his friend before he was a great supporter of Donald J. Trump.
Oh, you knew him before that.
I know him in the era before that. I know how he came to that decision, and it was a very, very honest and a very intellectual and a very well thought out position. So we have more to cover. We can pick it up tomorrow night. I think we've given you the major things that you have to look out. You have to look out for, that they're going to try to dissuade you with and move you with. So you come back to us tomorrow, huh? Come back to us tomorrow at 7 o'clock on Lindell TV, at 8 o'clock on X and other of the social outlets. Most of them have it, from 8 to 9. And sometimes we go a bit over into what we call soccer time. And to all of those who knew the coach, whose picture has been up there, and it's a beautiful one. It really does capture him. It reminds me of sitting in the cabin in Atlanta, going out to play our third round, and his reading to us the history of Augusta. What a man, what a man, what a man's man. I don't know if they use that expression any longer. Man's man.
Like a coach's coach.
Oh, but man's man takes on something much deeper, given the way in which they're trying to separate us and destroy us and demean us.
Right.
Well,
God bless Coach Holtz. Heaven just got a good
we pray for
football
Coach Holtz. We pray for guidance from him. We pray for all the people in harm's way. And we'll be back
tomorrow.
For sure tomorrow, possibly before. I just have this feeling something's going to happen. So pray for Israel. Pray for the people of Ukraine. Please, huh? Pray for the people of Iran. Pray for all the other people who are in turmoil and difficulties. And let them see what Jesus has for them. It's beautiful. God bless America. We'll see you tomorrow night.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk,